Hey there, audio friends. Welcome back to the channel. MrAyrit here, and I've got a nearly perfect headphone for you. What we're talking about today is the Fiio FT5. Now, there is one big flaw to it, in my opinion, that holds me back from thinking it is perfect. But boy, they get a lot of stuff right with this thing. So let's dive into it. As always, I like to start with just what it comes with, and we'll look at build, comfort, we'll end with sound. Okay, so first of all, what does it come in? Comes in a pretty nice box, right? I mean, it's not super fancy, but it's sturdy. Seems like a nice feeling box. And what I would say is this whole package, they do a really nice job of making this feel like a premium headphone experience. Okay. So in addition to this nice kind of leathery carry case, which I actually really like, honestly, and we'll talk more about what's in that, it did come with this bag that's really soft and nice. I don't know why you'd need this bag in this case, but whatever, they send it with it. Okay. You get a couple of sets of pads, right? You get a kind of micro suede type pad here that's pretty comfortable. I don't like the sound with that one as much as kind of I'm guessing this is a protein leather pad that's on it right now. Super soft too, and that's the ones that I preferred. So when we're talking about sound, we'll mainly talk about it with that. Before we look at the build of the headphone, let's look at the case here. I mean, I really like the case and the cable. Although I didn't really use it just because I use a heart system just for ease of use. It is 3.5 millimeter on each side, so you can pretty much use whatever cable you got lying around. But what's really neat about this cable is it's actually, if I can figure out how to get this thing off of here. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, so I got it here. So it's a system, right? It's a system. It comes with all these adapters. You've got XLR, you've got 1/4 inch, you got 3.5, you got Pentagon. So you can pop these in and out and then twist it on, and boom, you've got yourself, whatever cable you want. Oh, what a phenomenal idea for them to include this right now. Like I said, I didn't really use this cable because I've got a heart system that I had all set up and ready to go, but it's not a bad cable at all. Cloth covered, it's got a nice paracord sleeve on it. If I can get it undone here. It's just headphone companies, take notes. This is what every headphone should come with, is a system like this. Certainly every headphone over $300. Okay. Speaking of price point, this headphone comes in at about $450 new. I'm just looking at Apos's site, and they have open box ones for $360. So at that price, I think it's getting pretty competitive. But let's dive in and look at the headphone here. Okay, so if I were to design a headphone, this is what it would be. The build of this headphone is simple, but sturdy and just functions really well. It feels really good on the head. It's got a nice suspension strap with some elasticness in it. It just feels great. Okay, this headphone feels great to use and wear. I like how they've got the 3.5s entering the back at kind of a slight angle here. Just everything about the way this headphone is built is just exactly how I would do it, I feel like, if I was going to design a headphone. The pads are easy to swap. I mean, I would prefer a magnet system, but they've got pegs that make it easy for it to get in there, and you can't hardly screw it up, which is good. Okay, so all of this stuff, whoops, I just did screw it up, but there we go. All of this stuff is to say the build is phenomenal. It's just well thought out, well executed. I have no notes on the build. I love it. Like I said, if I were to make a headphone, I would make it just like this, and I feel like at this price point, this is pretty close to the best built headphone, best package, for the money, I think that you can get. Okay, now the downside. We got to start talking about sound. Okay, so fuzzy. That's how I would describe this headphone. It just lacks clarity. And you know, I would say that it's a pretty safe tuning option in that, like, I can't imagine this grating on anybody. I can't imagine this headphone being like offensive to anybody when it comes to the sound. Like, it's not going to fatigue you or anything like that. But that comes at a cost, and the cost is, when I put this headphone on and start listening to it, my gut reaction is, where's the detail? Like, it doesn't sound bad, but I also just feel like I'm missing things. Now, that being said, if you listen for a while and settle into it, I kind of feel like that initial gut reaction goes away, and I actually do feel like there's a reasonable amount of detail in these guys. But you gotta, if this was all you were using every day, I think you'd get used to it. I don't even think you'd notice it. But for someone like me who tries lots and lots of stuff and lots of really good sounding stuff, you know, when I switch to this, I'm just going, it's missing something. And I think it's coming mainly, like, is throughout the mid-range, right? Like, the bass is pretty adequate on it, sounds good texture, things like that. I wouldn't say it's like phenomenal or anything, but certainly adequate for the price. And but I feel like once you get kind of to the upper mid-range throughout the treble, I just feel like those frequencies are so subdued that it takes your brain a while to adjust to it, to be able to get any of the detail out of these. You know, outside of that, they're an enjoyable listen. Like, once I've listened to 3-4 songs with them and I'm settled into the sound signature, I enjoy myself. But man, those initial ones, I struggle with it. And I especially struggle with it with these micro suede pads. I think that exasperates the problem, personally. So the leather or pleather pads here, they are better than the micro suede pads, and it especially, I think initially it came with these micro suede pads on it, and that's where my first gut reaction was like, whoa. And then you switch to these pads and it's like a little bit more clarity comes through, and a little bit of that kind of veil is lifted, but it's still, you know, if I go from this to something like a Hifi, man, like the Nanda Nano, I mean, that is just night and day difference, right? It is. It really is. So I guess all this is to say, I think this is a good headphone. I think at $450, I'm not sure. I mean, I just think the Nanda Nano is a much safer bet for most people. But if you're like a really treble averse person and you're looking for something with like all day comfort, all day listening, you know, you don't have to worry about fatigue at all. I mean, I think those are the type of people that should look at this headphone, right? I would love to see a version 2.0 of this where it's the exact same build, exact same package, exact same cable, exact same case, all that, but they just tweak the sound to just be a little more clarity focused. Or maybe, I mean, and maybe that could even be done with a pad swap, you know? Perhaps. I just think it's so close to being a phenomenal headphone that I think just if I could just urge Fiio to just put a little more, you know, maybe testing in it, get a few more opinions from people, and just, you know, bring out that little bit more clarity to these guys. And if they do that, I think everybody at this price point has to be a little bit worried, because I think this thing would dominate, if I'm being perfectly honest. So yeah, just love this headphone for everything but its sound quality, and that, you know, I can see how some people would be okay with it, but I think for the most part, I'd steer people towards the Nano instead of this guy. Luckily, you can get that at Apos too, which, again, they sent this out for me. I appreciate that. What's your experience with Fio's headphones. This is the first Fiio headphone like over a year that I've tried. I know they got the FT3 that I saw some people reviewing. I haven't heard that one yet. How's that one do? Is that one good at its price point? You know, do you agree with my assessment of the FT5 and that it's just, you know, it just lacks clarity? Other than that, it's a great headphone. Any of those comments, drop them down below. As always, I appreciate you being here with me. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.